Hey folks, I'm Steph Stolzenbach. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been practicing here in New York City for the past 16 years, and I'm currently the Senior Director of Individual and Family Therapy here at Charlie Health. So today I'm really excited to talk to you all about the father wound. I'm sure you've maybe heard about that phrase before. It's something that I think a lot of us can relate to that might really resonate. And I'm going to showcase this for you all today in a case example. I'm going to go ahead and call this client Jess for today's purposes. So Jess first came to me experiencing what she called just being really stuck overall in life. She expressed to me a lot of concerns at work, feeling unmotivated, ineffective, having challenges in her relationships, really having difficulties going deeper with friends and with her romantic relationships, and having this overwhelming sense of never being enough. So we took some time and a gentle approach to really dig in and see what might be causing Jess to feel this way. We really looked at her childhood experiences, and what we uncovered together were some interesting dynamics between her and her father. She described Dad as someone who was there, present, but emotionally unavailable. Someone who was at the dinner table, on trips on the weekends, but not really engaging, not really being very present with Jess or her siblings. And what kind of derived from that was just feeling like, man, I'm really trying to get my dad's attention. Nothing's really working. And in her adult years, her formative years, something really unique was transpiring. What we quickly uncovered was that Jess was experiencing something that we often refer to as the father wound. So today I really want to talk about what the father wound is, how it can show up in your life, and how therapy can really help you on your healing journey, much like it did for Jess in our work together. I think it's really important to be clear on the definition of a father wound. It's truly about the emotional unavailability of a father and the absence, perhaps, of his emotions, and really being able to have that sense of secure attachment between yourself in this really pivotal relationship in your life. It goes way beyond some of the preconceived notions that we might have around that's connected to physical abuse or neglect. For Jess, her father was physically present but emotionally distant. Anytime that she performed something in school or an activity, he was really quick to criticize. That toxic combination led Jess to feel like she was always really falling short. It's important to recognize that the father wound is often intergenerational. Many fathers are simply passing down their own experiences to their children. While that doesn't excuse the behavior, it's just something that we can really look at from that lens and promote people on their healing journey. That way we can really dig in and work to break the cycle. So now we're going to go back to the case study of Jess. For Jess, work was really challenging. She was often seeking approval, trying to get others' respect, and really feeling insecure in all that she was doing there. If we really think about this through the lens of the father wound, this makes a lot of sense. Jess's father was really unable to give her a lot of approval or validation, so she found herself often seeking that externally at work. We also found the impact of the father wound manifesting in her personal relationships. For Jess, going deep was really difficult. Opening up, being vulnerable was almost a no-no all the time. For Jess, her dad was really unable to go deep with her, show up authentically, or even show up with a lot of his own vulnerability. So the impact of that on Jess growing up was that naturally she had a really hard time in her own relationships. Another thing that we often see is perfectionism, which is really the need to be perfect to be able to be worthy of receiving love or approval. We saw this show up in Jess often, as she was constantly wanting to be perfect at work, in relationships, in the perfect young person. What we came to find out, which is really common, is that this is really a response to the dynamics experienced growing up. So with Jess, one of the first things that we did was really explore what's the ideal relationship that she wanted to have with her father. And then from there, we were able to create a tailored treatment plan to really address those goals. So some of the things really important to Jess were: 1, effective communication between her and her dad; 2, healthy and appropriate boundaries between the two of them; and 3rd, her ability to gently confront past wounds from her childhood with her father. For Jess, our work around appropriate boundary setting was extremely helpful. That really allowed her to emotionally and physically have some distance from him if she felt like he was turning back into that critical voice in her life. Being able to know when to walk away, when to set a limit, allowed her to maintain her own healthy state of mind and also maintain a healthy sense of self and self-esteem. Also, communication, practicing and role-playing between the both of us on how she could express her needs to her father in a way that was both authentic and having some healthy practice of being vulnerable with him. Historically, that relationship was really distant, a very surface level. So that role-playing also really enabled Jess to feel more confident outside of sessions, to be able to approach him with confidence and ease. I want to be really clear here, folks, that there's no one-size-fits-all way of healing from the father wound. This is something that really worked for Jess, which is why I wanted to share it with all of you today. For some people, they get stuck or afraid that healing has to look one way, black or white, all or nothing. That might mean I have to have this beautiful, perfect relationship with my father. Or that was so painful, I can't really even think about having a relationship with my father. Kind of operating in these binaries. Healing is a much more nuanced and unique space to think about what your needs are, what your desires are, and what's going to make you feel the most fulfilled as a person. So thinking about, I really want to have maybe improved communication, but limiting my face-to-face interactions, and working with your therapist on determining what's best for you right now. It doesn't have to look one way or look similar to someone else in your life. What's most important are thinking about, again, your needs, your desires, to mitigating that father wound and having the most appropriate relationship that you would like to with that person in your life. Exploring what you've internalized as a person and really rediscovering who you are outside of that relationship between you and your father. Different things work for different people. I would love to hear what's working for you. What have been your healing practices? And please feel free to comment below. If you're also seeking virtual mental health treatment, please click the description below to learn more information. Thanks, everyone.